Tyree, what up?
It's good, bro.
Chilling, chilling. The Guys Podcast, Capture Media, another episode. So today's topic is something that I've been wanting to talk about because I've quite often heard women say the vibe, like why you like him, like what made you fall for him, or why was the date a good date? The vibe. I always hear this shit. The vibe got to be right. Um, we were vibing. I want to be around good vibes. And a lot of times when guys hear this, they think that the vibe is just some magical shit that just happens or appears. It's either like one day she might think there's a vibe and another day she might not. But if you speak womanese, you can interpret that shit. Right? Men, we have to create the vibe. The vibe means, you being a leader. The vibe means you making her feel comfortable, right? The vibe means that you're not a creep. You're charming, right? You understand body language. The vibe is you set the stage, you set the atmosphere, right? You take her to a cool spot. You know how to chat her up, how to keep the conversation going. You look good, you smell good. You know what I'm saying, bro? So like all those things that I just named is the vibe. But when you ask women, they can't describe it. Like they don't care how the cake is made, right? They don't care that the person who made that cake had to go to a different part of the world to get the ingredients and come back, put it in the right oven, make sure the temperature is right, right? They just want to enjoy the fucking cake, right? So as a man, a lot of the hard work that we do as men, it's not really known by the woman. She just wants to be able to enjoy all the hard work and labor that you put in to become the man that you are today. So, Ty, what you think about that? Help me out with that, Ty. Have you heard that shit?
I said it. I said it the other day. I think you just revived what I just said because I said chemistry is not magic. That was literally my topic for the other day,
Like
and
that.
that's what I was.
Like that, bro. Chemistry is not magic. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know how you'll remember me saying this, nigga, the other day, but
I think I do remember.
yeah,
I think, but this is
yeah.
something that
Well,
I've been pondering. Now, I'm gonna use your
no,
words.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with everything you said. When we get to experience love, we have to create it. So there's
Yo,
a
say that.
different
Yo,
we
that's deep. I gotta magnify the jewels and shit that you because you be cooking, right? If you be cooking, the whole world gotta smell the food, bro. Like you can't just be cooking on. I gotta. You know what I'm saying? Say that one more time, bro.
I said women get to enjoy or experience love. We have to create it. So there's a different thing when you're backstage when it comes to this romance stuff. Like, for example, a girl may give another man advice of being yourself, but I hardly see being yourself working as a man. Being
Facts.
yourself is something that women get to do as far as um we rarely go into a date having a certain expectation of what she's like or what she should do, or we don't have any expectations of her in the sense of we just here to get to know who she is and just have a good time in a sense. Women have expectations of how a date is supposed to go regardless of what they think about you. So there's certain things you're supposed to do. You're supposed to what they would prefer you do, because there's guys who don't do it, but and whatever, but you're supposed, there's the idea is that opening the door for me, picking me up, planning everything, um how you speak to me even before the date. It's like look, my eye contact and keeping me engaged and being lighthearted and playful. um Everything that to in your tool belt as far as a man, you learn like, okay, this works, because men learn to get girls through trial and error, right? We learn what works. We talk to our older brothers, our uncles. We learn from each other, and we see, okay, this works, and then this works, and you learn what works with certain type of women versus other type of women. To a degree, you become a hunter. Like you start to understand women from a different perspective, and when you're understanding it from that perspective, you you really realize there's very tangible things to a woman saying that there was chemistry. Like when she says there's chemistry, there's also, I'm sure he fit a certain aesthetic. I'm sure there are certain other things that he probably Maybe he drove a nice car. Maybe he smelt nice. Maybe he looked good. Maybe he dressed nice. Maybe he had a nice house. Like this, when women say there's chemistry, I can probably, if I was to be able to be a fly on the wall on that date, I could probably surmise what it is about him that caught her because I understand what it is that attracts women on a.
A biological level.
It's really tangible. Like it's nothing. There's no magic. There is no like we just connected and we just clicked. Is a guy who worked on himself hard enough to be attractive to women.
But they
Now
but they
maybe
want it to be magic, right? But they want it to be magic. Like they want it to be fairy tale.
yeah, and that's why even down to how you do certain things, it has to be like for example, it always kind of has to be her idea to go to her place or kind of thing, or like she has to feel like she's choosing to have sex with you, and you're not, necessarily like. And she is absolutely, but what I'm saying is that you could never. Okay, one thing for sure, you don't bring up sex during conversations with women you're attracted to because that turns them off. You know what I'm saying? That will fuck up the vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, little things like that you learn as a man dealing with girls. Okay, maybe when you're younger, you're on a date and you might say something inappropriate and you realize, oh, that shit turned all the way off. And that if I want to be able to advance forward, I can't do those things. So like, it's very like I can't say any other. It's very tangible things that you have to do. Like for a woman, she gets to just enjoy the date. It could be just a magical date or a boring date or whatever, and that's just what it is. For you, you have to set it. You have to like. It's up to you. I'm not articulating it as completely how I want to because it's like I'm in the moment and I just probably need to sit down and think about what I gather my words. But I'm pretty much saying what I want to say. It's
Yeah.
like
So the
it's
magic.
like being at Disney World, bro. It's like being at Disney World. Remember we was talking about that analogy
So
where it's like,
the magic that
God,
you seek, you have to create the magic. You can't just say when I'm going on a date with a woman, I'm gonna create a vibe and say it from the perspective that she's saying it from. You have to, like you said, you have to have tools in your toolbox to know how to create that vibe. And it's funny because once you say something stupid, once you don't pay for the date, if you're not leading, if you're not the one picking the location, the time, if you're not the one suggesting, what to do that day, the vibe will be off, right?
that'll take her out of the yeah, it'll take her out of the magic of the situation,
And
and you
then
got to know how to keep that magic.
yeah, and then when you're a man listening to a woman's failed date experiences, she'll say, you'll say, "Damn, so what happened? How many dates have you been on? Oh, been on one or two. What happened? Oh, the vibe wasn't there. The vibe was off. So in your head, you're like, damn, the vibe was off because maybe it was a Wednesday, not a Tuesday. The vibe was off because maybe it was cloudy outside and not raining. Maybe the vibe was off because she just didn't feel right. No, motherfucker. The vibe was off because he did some shit to take himself away from being attractive to that woman. So, as men, please understand women get the opportunity to live in la la land and create magic, right? And that's how they want it to feel. Women want to make it so is that the hard work that you put it in, it just appears and it's like you make it look easy. But as a man, to be attractive, you have to know what you're doing. So the vibe has ingredients. That's the name of the topic. There are ingredients that goes into that fucking vibe that she so heavily talks about in such a favorable way. So
100% agree. I agree. If you to every man she says that she didn't have the vibe, once again, I could probably look at him and point to you what he doesn't have, either from looking at him or talking about the date. That I'm like, that's where the vibe went wrong, and if, most likely a woman would be like, yeah, that's where I started to get the ick, so it's like, don't. I just want men to understand like there's no like magical stuff, bro. It's the same things, bro. If you work on yourself in certain areas, you're more likely to have or be able to create the vibe. If you're attractive, you're more likely to create the vibe. If you know how to speak to women, you're more likely to create a vibe. If you
yeah,
know how to dress, if you know how to pick and plan good dates, all of these little things. If you know how to speak to her in such a way that attracts her, you have to learn how to be flirtatious with women without being direct. Like there's so many little skills like that you learn
being creepy.
along the way. Yeah, there's a borderline between that. One is if you're ugly. If you're ugly, everything you say is creepy.
Yeah,
Two, if you're very direct and blunt, because women hate that, and we can talk about that in another topic, or why they hate that, but they hate any man being direct about sex in that way, unless they are looking for a night of fun and they convey that. If they are out looking for a night of fun and they convey that, then you can be that. But you can't break character in Disney World. You can't take off the mask, and Mickey Mouse can't take off the mask and start smoking a cigarette like you was talking about earlier. Like you gotta be, you gotta be you got to
Yo,
be the right guy and the right time. You can't say the wrong shit. She has a way in her head where this should go. Where
it's
I'll
like
give
kids. If a little kid saw Mickey Mouse in the dressing room
you,
take off the mask and smoke a cigarette,
fractures everything. It fucks everything up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's what women talk about. You could talk your way out of pussy. It's like I was gonna give you some, but you had to keep the magic. Like you had to keep the magic. You can't come out of character. You can't say something outlandish. You can't, you know what I'm saying?
and you know what's
It's
funny?
real.
A lot of times, sorry, to cut you, off, bro. A lot of times, women will say things like, "I want a nice man. I want a man that's a gentleman. I want a man that's courteous. I want a man that's just wholesome." But yet, they forget to say she has to be attracted to you first, right? There's plenty of men out there that are nice. There's plenty of men out there that are courteous. There's plenty of men out there that are gentlemen, and they're fucking single, and they can't get a woman to save their fucking life. So, what's the problem? They don't tell you you have to be attractive or appealing in some kind of way. Then after attraction is there, then they want you to be those other things. But a lot of times when women speak, it's like they assume attraction already, right? So it's fucking crazy.
Yeah. For them, it's like this. These are, but this is after I'm attracted to you. Nothing matters. I, Morals, none of that shit matters. But after, like, before the attraction part, like you could be the nicest, good, like, until they start dating what, going against their biology and stuff like that, which is hard to even do. You can't say it, you can't blame them. This is what, honestly, I blame men sometimes in those situations, bro. There's certain things that you can work on that'll make it more likely for you to have the vibe. Like if you are out of shape, there's probably less likely of a chance that you have. If you're out of shape and not funny, because you could be fat, but you got to be funny at something. You got to be have good mouthpiece or something. There's got to be something else to you.
Yeah,
Whatever skills or whatever, if you lack it in this area, you need to be extraordinary in other areas. So it's like, and you can still win. But there's tangible things to the vibe, my nigga. They ain't magic.
bro. The difference between being all those things that she named and not being attractive, and being all those things that she named while being attractive, that's the difference between being in a friend zone and being in the boyfriend or sex zone, one night stand.
Or just even, yeah, having a chance to even actually engage with this woman in a way you want to.
If those guys weren't somewhat what they're looking for, they wouldn't be in the friend zone, right? So those guys wouldn't be in the friend zone if they didn't offer it some kind of value. So I would argue those guys are gentlemen, they're nice, they're accommodating, but they don't have that other piece, which is that biological attraction, right? That the women feel when they're around them. So bro, if you don't create the vibe on that level, you won't have access to her time, her energy, and her availability, or you just might be in the friend zone. So men, please understand when women say things, a lot of times they might leave out what it takes to do the things that they say. Don't just think that the vibe is just because the right day at the right fucking time. The vibe is not the right day at the right time. The vibe are things that you have to do to make yourself more attractive to a general group of women. Like you said, two's in your fucking two kit, bro, or your two belt, whatever.
No, that's a fact, and that's yeah, that's well said. And I don't really have nothing much to add to that after that.
Yes, yo, Todd, thank you for all your insights, man. Love to hear what you got to say, as always. This is the Guys Podcast, Capture Media. I'm Akhtar Muhammad, it's my brother, the fam, Tyria Costa. You already
Yes,
know.
sir. We out of here.